Hello, welcome to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people of Zero Tackle. Dan, we've had a thrilling week of rugby league, upsets, highs, lows, what's happening with the referees, what's happening with the NRL. We're bringing back pathways. Does that make the talking points? Who knows?
We'll see, but we're going to talk a potential football department overhaul. Now, for those that don't understand that reference, Graham Annesley has come out every Monday and bored us all to tears and given Terry and myself so much quality to talk about here and complain about. So thank you for that. And Jared Maxwell is the head of the referees. They're both doing a horrible job. We've known it for many months now. But the NRL after this weekend have come out and said, look, this is probably going to happen at the end of the season. What do you think's going to happen, mate?
I think that, like everything that the NRL do, it's going to be reactionary. I think they're going to blame, like, how do you blame Graham Annesley for a referee being a crap referee when he's just the head of the department, but Jared Maxwell is the coach? And I'm sure Jared Maxwell isn't sitting there on weekends to the bunker going, we'll use mitigating circumstances. Like, he'd be sitting there tearing his hair out at this. I think if you're going to overhaul a football department and the referee department, you need to overhaul the coaching, the training. You need to get everybody on the same wavelength. Show them videos of different things. There are no mitigating circumstances. If there were mitigating circumstances, Jesse Ramian wouldn't be missing a week this week. Because he could turn around and go, well, mitigating circumstances, I had him covered and I was about to smash him over the sideline, but Atkinson took his legs out. Mm-hmm. So you can't referee on mitigating circumstances. You have to referee on the situation that happened. And Liam Kennedy is normally a pretty good referee. I'm not going to say he's good. He's not bad. He's not great is what I meant to say. He's okay, but that was a shocker, right? But you need to get them all on the same page because they all referee and interpret things differently. Mm-hmm. Like, they absolutely referee and interpret things completely differently, and penalties are different for everything, and disruptors are different for everything, and high shots are different for everything. You need to get everybody on the same page, and I don't know if, like, sacking everybody's going to do that, because we had Bill Harrigan, who was goated as the greatest referee of all time, and we've had multiple other, referees in there, and it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be a revamp, not a mass sacking. Because if you mass sack everyone, you've got to sack all the referees and you need to find 8 new ones.
Yep, that's true. I think the overhaul needs to be, Annesley needs to stop doing these Monday conferences. Nothing good has ever come from this. As we've said multiple times on here, it's not only cringe, as the kids say these days. I'm told, I'm too old. But he comes out and he either says, yeah, the refs suck, or he says, no, the refs got it right, even though you know they got it wrong. It's a no-win situation. It is horrible. Too many people come out and say, oh, well, Annesley said this. No, Annesley's got it wrong more often than not, and common sense says this. There's your first thing. Don't sack him. I don't want him to lose his job. I don't want anyone to lose that job. But he's got to stop doing that. Jared Maxwell, I'm going to pull back a little bit here. I think he's got to go. We're not seeing improvements. Simple as. He's got to go. Whatever he's doing isn't working. They need to come in and say, look, it's time for the video referee to be one person each weekend. If it's one person for the full season, we can rotate it every year if we need to. But we're going to get consistency from game to game to game. That's something you and I suggested multiple times. I cannot believe it hasn't been implemented yet. That, I'll die on this hill. Thirdly, they need to get a crop of 15 referees, for mine. And they need to, look, without naming names, because I'm not going to, everyone's had good games, everyone's had bad games. But Adam G is your top referee in the game. I think for all the grief he gets, Klein is probably number 2 because he gets all the big games where everything's more scrutinised, there's more people watching, there's better teams. It is what it is. There's probably 3 or 4 referees that we can all name that aren't up to standard. They need to be allocated to New South Wales Cup for the full season, or at least half a season, to say, get fit, get right, and come on. They need to have someone. I think the head of the referee should be a former player who's maybe refereed, or someone, or a group of 3 maybe that can come in and say, because if you got one guy, Maxwell can say, yeah, you got that right, but everyone in the world says you got it wrong. 2 versus 1, majority rule. I don't know. Maybe we're getting too into it. That just needs to change there at the top. They need to get rid of the egos is my number one thing. The amount of times referees go, Oh, Speedy, I just need to do this. Yeah, we got this and this. No. Hey, to the video ref, what's the decision? Just leave it as, what's the decision? Is he offside or not? None of this. It's a try. But if you find a little bit of mitigating circumstance, it isn't a try, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. No, get rid of the grey areas. It's either a try or it's a no try. Hey, video ref, is it a try? Cool, give it. None of this benefit of the doubt BS.
I think when you're sending it up as a no try, you have to give the reason why it's a no try, right? You have to give the reason. No try, I'm pretty sure there's an obstruction, so they know what they're looking for, right? They know that they're looking for an obstruction, because if you turn around and just go no try, they will look at it and go, yeah, but he grounded it. Yeah, it's a try.
Devil's advocate, if it's an obstruction, they should be able to see it.
Yes, but most of the time they will go up, they will send it upstairs and say, I've got a no try, and 95% of the time it's a no try. Mm-hmm. But you get the odd one where they can turn around and go, it was the inside shoulder and the players made a poor defensive read. So, I'd be happy with you, like the same as in the EPL, if they just award everything and then they've got 90 seconds to say no. Mm. But I don't mind them going upstairs and saying no try, obstruction, confirm it's an obstruction, or no try. I think I saw a bobble at dummy half, or say it's a try, but check the bobble at dummy half, check the obstruction for me.
You know what? I think we both agree there needs to be changes. And Scott, if you're watching, I think Terry and I are going to get together, put our ideas together, and I'm going to produce something that what the overhaul should potentially look like.
And it should look like me, you, and someone else in the bunker every week, employed by the NRL, getting decisions 100% correct.
Would never miss. Unfortunately, we move on to someone who doesn't miss either, and that's Jared Ware, higher grades, who's just come back from a 4-game suspension. Kodang in a bloke sin bin, he'll miss the next 3 games. Career is going to go on because they're going to make the second week of the finals. That's a certainty for mine.
Yep.
So he's not finished yet. But my thinking is, why would you bring him back? He's just going to do it again and get sin bin in a major semi-final.
The thinking, I'm with you on that because they're playing really, really good football with or without him. The Roosters score an abundance of points. They are a better team with him on the field, and they are a better team with him in that lineup because you don't want to take the run at Jared Ware-Hargreaves because he might take your head off. Like Nathan Cleary coming back from a shoulder injury, meeting the Roosters in a major semi-final to get into the grand final, we'll know that Jared Ware-Hargreaves is going to target him, and we'll know that if Penrith are up 16-0, Jared Ware-Hargreaves is playing his last game in Australia and won't care if he misses 3 games for Hull. Mm. So they are a better team without him. But he's finally copping what he should have been copping for years. Because there are so many times he whacks a bloke in the face, or he whacks a bloke late, or he does some bullshit that you think he's going to get suspended, and he cops a fine. And it's a $1,200 fine, then a $1,500 fine, then a $3,000 fine. And you're like, cool, the next one's going to be a suspension. It's another $3,000 fine because it wasn't the same as the last one that he copped a $3,000 fine for. Then the next one's only a $1,500 fine because he hasn't done that for a year now. He's finally copping his medicine, and like missing 7 of the last 8 weeks, it's only punishing the Roosters and himself because he's going to be... You need the match fitness for it, but they have to bring him back. They have to bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they won't let him... They won't leave him out if they don't have to. So it's just... 3 or 4 times he made a tackle on the weekend before he got sin bin. You're like, oh, he's treading the line. And then he go down your some bloke and get sin bin. And you get guys online that go, oh, it's just because it's Jared Ware-Hargreaves. Well, yeah, because he's doing it 90 times a season. And they're like, oh, well, he's just back from a suspension. Why is he getting suspended again? Because he's just back from a suspension. He's got 55 priors this year. He knows he's got to be careful. He's such a big dude. There's such a small error of margin from that height and with that power and that intensity. But he gets it wrong so often. I feel like if he was in the NRL next year, I think they'd be moving him on anyways. I think he's moved. I think the game's past him. I think 20 years ago, Ware-Hargreaves might be the best forward we've ever seen. She can get away with that stuff. But it's so scrutinised now, and I guarantee you this weekend, every little love tap will end up in a sin bin. We'll see 3 or 4 send-offs, and they'll rein it back in for the finals, hopefully. But if Warrior Hargraves was playing this weekend, you can bet London to a brick he's sitting down for at least 10 minutes. Good fun. But speaking of players who are sitting down, geez, these are working well tonight. Melbourne Storm, named a still pretty damn good side, I have to say. But they've left out about, well, let's be honest, about 25 first-grade talents. They've named a side that is heavily rested. I think they've earned the right. I've seen a lot of fans blowing up and say that it's against the rules, it's against the rugby league, blah, blah, blah. They're first. Who cares? They lose the next 2 games, doesn't matter.
Where is this passion from rugby league fans when players are arrested from backing up from Origin?
Oh, well...
Where is that when after Origin you turn around and go, well, that guy just played 3 games of Origin and he played really well, so we're going to give him a week or 2 rest down the line. And I get it. Melbourne are resting 10 players, and you know that they're in the right when it's boiling the piss of all the people on NRL 360. Because when they're mad, it's the correct decision. Now, you are absolutely right. Melbourne have got nothing to gain for playing their stars for the next 2 dead... They can't finish anything but first. Mm-hmm. So imagine they go up to North Queensland and in the 78th minute they're losing 28-16 and Jerome Hughes does his ACL. Like, they have earned the right to sit these players out. They have earned the right to turn around to Munster, Hughes, Pappenhausen, and everyone else going, don't go up to the 35 degree, 130% humidity. Stay at home, watch the game in Melbourne, and enjoy yourself. And the next week when we go to Brisbane, half of you might travel. The only one who I would say that, and to be honest, I haven't checked the team list, I've been quite busy today. The only one who I think maybe of the stars could use the run would be Cameron Munster. Now, he probably has missed this game, but I dare say he'll play against Brisbane to get some miles under his legs. But in terms of the how brittle Ryan Pappenhausen's legs have been in the last 3 years, and how crucial Jerome Hughes and Harry Grant are, don't see him again for the rest of the year. And if it costs Jerome Hughes a Dally M, so be it, because he'd probably rather a premiership in a Clive Churchill.
Oh, absolutely, undisputedly. No player in the world would admit to wanting a Dally M more than a grand final. Don't know how that's true behind the scenes. Look, Cam Munster's been named. I think very much for that reason. Pappenhausen's been named. I wouldn't be shocked to see him withdrawn late. Farlago go to fullback. I think they had to name a certain amount of players, and then you can do some shithousery close on. I have no problem with it. Now I can understand teams behind saying, "Oh yeah, but look, no one can knock the Cowboys out. They're in the finals, so it's not really benefiting them. Okay, maybe they beat Melbourne when they otherwise wouldn't." Who says they don't beat Melbourne up there anyways? Maybe Melbourne send their full stars. They think, we got the premiership, minor premiership. Why am I running at that ball when I can just hold? Why am I making this tackle? My shoulder's a bit sore. It's just, mate, they got themselves in this position. It's the luck of the draw. Early in the year, a lot of teams played Melbourne, minus all these stars, because they were injured. And yet they all come back at a time. That team doesn't go, well, that's a bit unfair. Maybe the fans do. That's just rugby league. Just go up there and beat them. If your team's good enough, you should be already locked in the finals and not hoping that things will go your way. There you go. I think Melbourne have got it. I'm not proud of it, but what the heck? They got everyone.
Yeah, no, and it's the same circumstance for us as Cronulla fans when we had to go down to Melbourne without Trindle, without Hines, without our players, and yet we still beat them. So if you're good enough with injuries or rest, you'll still win the game anyway. And if Melbourne don't win it, who cares?
Exactly right. Kyle Feldt, earlier today, by the time this landed, it'll be yesterday, he said, I'm out from the Cowboys. I think he might have been, with the greatest respect, tapped on the shoulder. Legend of the game, grand final hero, just signed officially with St Helens about an hour ago as we go to. Being a huge St Helens fan as you are, Terry, what are your thoughts on Kyle Feldt heading across to England?
I'm not a St Helens fan.
I know that.
Yeah. Look, I think Kyle Feldt is going to absolutely rip the Super League apart because he's tall and he's athletic and he's the size of a prop over there. Okay. And he's still got a bit of toe about him and he knows how to score a try and he's a grub, right? They're going to love him over there. They are going to love him. Like, if anyone ever screamed Super League hero, it's Kyle Feldt. And I think he's earned the right. Like, as you said, he's a legend. He's North Queensland through and through. I was having a chat the other day, and I can't remember who I was speaking to now, But they played a Toyota Cup Grand Final and they lost it. And I'm not sure if they lost it to Brisbane or Canberra. I think Canberra might be in the Dugan sort of era. But the Cowboys scored a try right beside the post, and all Kyle Feldt had to do was kick the goal and they win it. And he missed it. And they went into Golden Point and they lost. Could also be the Warriors. It's sort of around that era of the Brisbane were good, Canberra were good, the Warriors were good. And then he sort of wasn't seen for a year, and then he burst on the scene to the NRL, and you're kind of like, this guy is just an average winger. And he's an average winger who has had a stellar career. He scored the most important try in North Queensland's history. He is the leading try scorer in North Queensland history. He's played for his country. He's played for his state. He's done everything in rugby league that he can. I don't think he was tapped on the shoulder because they've lost Valentine Holmes, and the one thing that the Cowboys don't really have are a plethora of outside backs. They've got Scott Drinkwater, who's exciting. They've got Dearden, and you can throw some players around them who can just catch and fall across the line. But I think this guy's had a look at it and said, the Cowboys are probably only going to offer me a 1-year deal. And if I'm lucky, I might get another year out of it where I can take my young family the kids aren't in school yet. I can go and get a couple of years over there with some good money. And I can come back and we can settle and I can get back on the coaching staff and I can do all the cool stuff and my kids can start school and they'll be able to tell stories about how Dad's a grand final hero winner. We were just playing over in England. It was really cold and we've come back and it's really hot. So I think that's what Kyle Feldt's done. He's earned the right to do it. Like him or loathe him, like there's death taxes and Kyle Feldt scoring a try against Cronulla. Mm-hmm. And I said it every time. And more often than not, if you bet on Kyle Feldt anytime try scorer against Cronulla, he's going to get one. And he scored some of the crappiest tries as well. My God, legend though. And he would probably make my all-time favourite shithousery team.
Yeah, that's a great shout. He's the sort of bloke who's always there to score a try. Mm-hmm. Like, geez, that's opportunistic, but he does it every single time. A bit like Alec Johnson, not the same sort of player, but very, very much that he just scores tries. Like, he's a bloke who you can be like, oh, where's Kyle? Oh, there he is, he scored.
Yeah.
Or why we're letting Kyle Feldt? Ah, he scored again. Like, like you said, he's very easy to dislike. I'm a huge fan. I did get into him the other day when he got up a kid on debut when they were up by 40 points and yelled in his face. I was like, what's he doing? I thought, no, that is the most Kyle Feldt thing he could do. But he's not. He doesn't. It's not vindictive. It's a got one over you. Then later he'll be like, oh, how's it going, mate? Like, and then next time he'll get you on the field again.
And Kyle, like, it is so Kyle Feldt to have a look at the stats and go, geez, Feldt only had 5 runs for 47 metres where he scored 2 tries.
I'm real happy for him. I think St Helens have got a good one here. I think it's brilliant for all involved. So congrats on the brilliant NRL career. Look, St Helens are very much in the running. They're not Wigan, obviously, but you know they're thereabouts. So maybe you'll get another premiership. Hopefully not, being a Wigan fan, but I won't begrudge him that. From a bloke ending his NRL career to a guy just starting it. A couple of weeks ago, we discussed Rookie of the Year, and we agreed pretty much Ethan Strange, Kyle Weeks, one of those two would be up there, and Jack Bostock was my personal pick. I think Kayal Iro has absolutely lapped them all in the last month and should cruise to Rookie of the Year honours.
I do. I don't think he'll win it though. I put it on Twitter or X the other day, how you want to put it. Who is the rookie at the moment who has had the biggest impact on winning games for his club? And it's Kayal Iro.
Easily. The
minute we put him into the centres, we've started winning games. We got ourselves up to first. Yes, we've dropped to 4th. We're in 3rd at the moment. We've never dropped out of the top 4. He came in on the back of us conceding a bucket load of tries down our left edge every week because teams would just run at Sifa Talakai. He's gone in there, he's shorted up. He missed a game recently, and the ghost of Dan Gagai ran around our centre. Mm-hmm. I think definitely he should be the Rookie of the Year. I think they're going to have a look. I don't think KO Weeks is eligible. Are you thinking Keanu Kinney?
No, I think Kinney played 4 or 5 games last year.
I think Weeks did as well because he was at Manly last year.
Gotcha. I know Ethan Strange is the one that I got the second most votes to Jack Bostock because at the time Bostock had like 17 tries in 17. Yeah. Keeping in mind that Max Plath and Lachlan Galvin, who are probably the two most people say, I put Plath, no. But Lachlan Galvin, if he was to say he's eligible, I think he wins it just because of what he's done for the Tigers. But even so, I think Kayal Iro's impact, and look, Terry and I are huge fans. I've been, pushing his bandwagon since he was in, the under 12s, let's be honest. This kid's a freak. So take that with a grain of salt when you're deciding. But as you said, no one has done more for their team, other than maybe Galvin, than Kayal Iro, and Lachlan Galvin got suspended and can't win it. So I think it's Iro in a canter right now.
I think it would have been Ethan Strange, but he got moved from 5'8" into centre. He got dropped. He came back. He's been dropped again. They don't know where they're going to play him at the moment. The other one who is a half-decent shout, but I don't think we'll get it because his team's probably going to finish last or second last, is Blaze Talangi.
Toad, though.
There's also Liam Henry from Penrith, who the prop that comes off the bench, he's a pretty good shout for it. But in terms of impact for winning on the team and the difference they've made, like my pick, it's got to be Kayal Iro.
You mentioned Penrith before. This is one that you wanted to bring up, so I'm going to throw to you. Simple question. Penrith, is it over?
Look, all good things must come to an end.
And bad things.
And bad things. Now, I don't think it's over, right? Because they've got a lot of players to come back. Mm-hmm. Like, say what you want, that Penrith left edge has been terrible since Scott Sorensen has got injured. And you and I both know what Scott Sorensen does to Cronulla every time he plays him. He is a darn good footy player.
Yep.
You've also got the best halfback and probably best player in the world to come back into the team as well. But you're starting to see the attrition. Like, people love to show that graphic of the minor premiership and how many, minor premiers we've had in the last couple of years and how many premiers we've had in the last couple of years. And, from 14, 15 and 16 we had 3 premiers, and from 17 to 23 we've only had 3 premiers, right? But I think this is a credit to Penrith that you can name a 1 to 17 of players that have been pillaged and picked apart from that team, and they are still top of their game. Now, no one saw that loss to Canberra. Like, bookmakers didn't even see that. Canberra were $5.25 at tip-off.
Yep.
And no one saw that loss coming. And so people are like, is that the end of Penrith? No. It's just a bad day in the office for them. But you're seeing now that they are not as far in front of the pack as we all thought they were. Like, last year, you and I on this very show, when Brisbane looked like they had the minor premiership, we were like, this is the most tokenistic minor premiership in the history of minor premierships, because Penrith are going to win the competition. Now, they didn't win it as easy as we thought they were going to do, but they still won it. In 2021, they ran through the league, lost in week 1 in a shock to South Sydney, turned it around. And guess what? Players are starting to come back in, and this is the whole turnaround. What you have to worry about with Penrith is not the attack, it's when they dial it in. It's when they dial in and they decide that they're going to go and strangle the life out of you. In 2021, Dan, in the final series, do you know the points scored per game that Penrith scored in the finals?
Scored?
Yep.
Was about 6 and then 14, and then I think 14 in the...
Maybe, so they lost.
18 again?
They lost week 1, 16-10.
Yep.
They won week 2 against Parramatta 8-6.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that game.
They won week 3 against Penrith 10-6. And they won the grand final 14-12.
Yep. There you go.
So if they want to, they will stop you from scoring points.
Yeah, look, that's where them and the Roosters,
it's
huge opposites.
It's not over, but they're back to the pack.
Yes, you're right. Anyone who's writing Penrith off is either a lot braver or a lot stupider than us. The only way I can see them not making at least the prelim is if they drop back to 5th. Because they're playing South this week. They're going to run through South Sydney. But in the last game, Look, Nathan Cleary's going to come back, but he's not going to be 100%. That's pretty much clear. They've said, he'll be back for finals, whether that's week 1 or 2. A half-fit Nathan Cleary. We saw Cooper Cronk in a grand final. He was at 10%. He just being there helps so much. If they drop back to 5th, if the Bulldogs can overcome them this week, if they have a horror loss to South or something happens. Because, look, Brad Schneider's probably the one player who hasn't come into Penrith and lit the competition up. He's been okay. He's not been bad. I don't want to rubbish the kid, but he's not been like every other player that's ever come through there in the past 5 years. So they've come back a little bit. And Jack Cole, the kid that I was certain was going to come back in this weekend's injured. Don't know how bad. I don't know if he's been named for New South Wales Cup, but if he has, he's probably going to miss this week anyways. You're seeing, look, young Kate McLean came up. He played quite well, but he's been dropped for Alamotti, who played quite well. You don't have Stephen Crichton, and you don't have one of the 55 May brothers. For obvious reasons, not saying there's any... They shouldn't be there. But you don't have them. So we're starting to see him come back just that little tiny bit. Any other club would have fallen apart 4 times by now. They're still in the top 4. I think we'll finish... I think they'll flog South and probably jump us on points differential, us being Cronulla, for those that don't know.
We're 50 points ahead of them.
They might put 70 on South. Who knows? Look, but they've got 2 weeks to make up the difference. It could happen. Maybe Cronulla throw it in against Manly. Who knows? So they're probably going to finish 3rd or 4th, at worst 4th. It's not over, but they've definitely come back. But last year we said they came back. The year before we're like, oh yeah, they're good. Melbourne are going to come back, and then Melbourne push up. Champion teams are champion teams for a reason, and I'm very glad you said that graphic that shows 3 minor premiers and 3 premiers in the last however many years. That's no coincidence. They are good sides because they're good clubs. They've got great systems and players can come up. So no, unfortunately, it's not over yet. But this weekend may be over for a lot of teams, but we have one final spot. 7 are locked in. Manly are official in 7th spot, which leaves 5 teams to go into 1. A couple of weeks ago, I said the Dolphins are home. They're gone. A couple of weeks ago, you and I both sat here and wrote the Broncos off. I have them favourites to go in. Last week, St George only had to beat Cronulla and it was fait accompli. They got flogged, and now you're thinking, oh geez, their shot. Who's going to finish 8th?
I'll give you the Smoky. Newcastle.
It's a good shout, because look, Canberra are probably the best side, but they're going to play the Roosters this week.
Look, Brisbane have got the Dolphins, and then they've got Melbourne.
Yep. I think they win both those games.
What's that?
They win both those games for mine.
They beat Melbourne.
Yeah, I don't think Melbourne care. And Melbourne are going to name the ghosts of the Jets, the Thunderbolts.
If they win both of them, you'd give them a good chance. Now, St George have got Parramatta this weekend, and St George are desperate to get in the finals, and Parramatta are desperate to avoid the wooden spoon. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a tough one. And then I think St George and Canberra play each other in the last round.
Ooh, yum. Delicious.
Yeah. That is going to be a good one. Who are Canberra playing this weekend?
They've got...
Live TV. Let's do this. Let's figure it out.
Penrith.
No, they just beat Penrith.
They did beat Penrith. The Roosters.
Canberra have got the Roosters.
Sunday afternoon. I mentioned it not 2 minutes ago.
Yeah. So the Knights have got the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finish at home to the Dolphins. Give me the Knights.
Look, if the Dolphins win both games, they can get in. I'm not saying they will.
If the Dolphins win both games, they probably get in. Give me the Knights. I'm gonna back Newcastle in for this.
I'll go Brisbane then. Look, the Dragons are in the box seat. The Dragons should get there, but all the
Dragons had to do was fire up for the derby. But unfortunately, Shane Flanagan didn't know who they were playing.
He didn't. Very well said. I said on Zero Tackle, and make sure you check the rankings when they drop tomorrow, I said that the Dragons should make it. They should win their next 2 games. But they shouldn't have got flogged by Cronulla at home with everything to play for either. And look, they did. So, Brisbane.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle, your one-stop shop for everything rugby league. It's got news, breaking news as it happens, player contracts, transfer rumours, everything that you need, and we've got the best independent writers on the planet for rugby league. Now, Dan dropped in the show that there is something about St George. Make sure you don't read it because you don't want to give the Dirty Red V any airtime. Scott! But what else have you got for us, Dan?
Well, I got 2 articles dropping in the next bit. One that Scott knows about and one that he doesn't. And yes, I do love calling him out live on the air. Because by the time this drops, there's nothing he can do about it. I'm going to proclaim, well, a couple of years ago I said that Teague Wilton will be the next great superstar on the edge and take Cronulla to that next level. I'm backtracking. It's now Britton Nickera. And that'll drop in the next 2 days. As announced a little while ago, the football department overhaul. There will be a review. Terry and I are going to put our heads together and we're going to tell you what that review should entail and how to fix rugby league.